Well, during a deportation hearing, a judge has decided that Mahmoud Khalil will remain in custody in Louisiana. Louisiana, that is. Khalil is a legal resident who was arrested and detained by federal agents over the weekend after his green card was revoked by the Trump administration. That is according to Khalil's lawyer. Khalil was born in Syria and raised in a Palestinian refugee camp. Last year, he helped to lead demonstrations on the Colombian campus against Israel's war in Gaza. The Trump administration has alleged that Khalil was a supporter of the terror group Hamas. Authorities have not charged him with any kind of crime nor provided any evidence showing a connection between Khalil and Hamas. As today's hearing was taking place, hundreds of protesters gathered outside and inside the Manhattan federal courthouse to show their support for Khalil. Khalil's lawyers want their client returned to New York and released under supervision. They argue that he engaged in protected free speech and that the government is illegally retaliating against him over it. Government lawyer wants to have the case moved to New Jersey or Louisiana, where Khalil is being held. The judge asked the government to file written arguments by Friday on that motion. And for more on the case, let's bring in an immigration attorney, Paul Hunker. Paul, good to be with you today. As we know, Khalil was arrested despite having a green card. For those who maybe aren't familiar with green cards, tell us a little bit more about them and the protections that green card holders have, if at all any.
A person who has a green card, Tracy, is a lawful permanent resident. They have the right to reside in the United States. They can still be removed from the country if they engage in what's called removable activity. Typically, that's criminal activity, but there are other bases to remove a lawful permanent resident, such as engaging in terrorist activity.
Yeah, and in a post on X, the Department of Homeland Security talked about Khalil's arrest, stating that Khalil led activities aligned to Hamas, a designated terrorist organization. ICE and the Department of State are committed to enforcing President Trump's executive orders and to protecting U.S. national security. I'd like to get your thoughts on that. As you know, we understand he has not been charged with any type of crime. Your interpretation of all this?
Well, one of the reasons a lawful permanent resident can be removed is if the Secretary of State determines that his activity in the United States has serious foreign policy consequences. Tracy, that's a rarely used charge. So I haven't seen the charges. I haven't seen the evidence. So we'll have to see, what the government's theory is.
Yeah, and earlier today, Paul, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he spoke out. Here's what he had to say. Let's take a listen.
This is not about free speech. This is about people that don't have a right to be in the United States to begin with. No one has a right to a student visa. No one has a right to a green card, by the way. So when you apply for a student visa or any visa to enter the United States, we have a right to deny you for virtually any reason.
Paul, your thoughts on that?
A person who has a green card has a right to reside here, and the government can only take that away if they have strong evidence that the person is removable. I'm concerned that the government is targeting Khalid and will be targeting other Palestinian activists for legitimate First Amendment activity. If you look at President Trump's tweets, he seems to consider them troublemakers. So I'm concerned about the government's damaging or attacking people's First Amendment rights.
Almost out of time, but quickly want to get to this. President Trump said that Khalil's arrest was the first of many to come, vowing on social media to deport students that he described as engaging in pro-terrorist, anti-Semitic, anti-American activity. How is that defined? Who defines that?
Well, that's a good question, Tracy. Generally, people can say a lot. They can say things that people don't like. That's part of our country's First Amendment rights. So I'm concerned that if the government's going after Khalid for protected First Amendment activity, the government can go after other people for protected First Amendment activity. I think we as Catholics want to protect freedom of speech because it ends up protecting our freedom of speech.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Paul, thank you for weighing in. We appreciate it.